Hey everybody, I'm in my backyard. I want to talk to you a little bit about air quality. Air is something that we all share. And we only have one atmosphere. And while our atmosphere here in West Texas may be different than the atmosphere in New York City, it's still part of the same atmosphere. So what happens in one place does have an effect in other places. When I was in high school and when I was in college, we had these chemicals called chlorofluorocarbons, or CFCs. And they were used in a lot of different things. They were used mostly in refrigerants. All right, these are the chemicals that allow a refrigerator to become cold. They allow freezers to actually work, but also our air conditioners. Freon, if any of you are familiar with that, is a CFC, a chlorofluorocarbon. They were also used because they expand really well. They were also used in hairsprays or underarm deodorant sprays or spray paints or any of these other things that come in a can that you press the button and it goes out. Well, we're talking about end products here. We didn't realize this, chemists didn't realize this when they first invented these things, that what happens is when they get at the upper atmosphere, at the very top of the stratosphere, there's a layer of gas called the ozone sphere. All right, it's a layer of ozone. And what ozone is 3 oxygen atoms bonded together. And what ozone does is it blocks the ultraviolet light from outer space, mostly from our sun, really, from coming down and hitting us on the Earth. And in fact, without an ozone layer, life on this planet would be impossible. We would have so much ultraviolet radiation flooding us at any time that viruses, bacteria, it would cause massive cell damage. In humans, what ultraviolet light does is if you're outside a lot, like I am right now, it increases your risk of skin cancer because it damages your DNA. It also increases your the time that it takes. It also increases the number of people who get cataracts or blindness as a result of ultraviolet light. And that's from a tiny, tiny little increase in the ultraviolet light that reaches the Earth. But we didn't realize it at the time. The CFCs, when they get up to the atmosphere, they react with ozone and they destroy that ozone, thus leaving patches of our ozone sphere that were thinner than other parts. So as an example, over Antarctica, over the poles, both poles, north, south pole, there were holes in the ozone, and the one in the north was actually large enough that it, depending on the wind, it would actually expose Canada, even the northern part of the United States down to New York, to extra ultraviolet radiation. And so there was a real fear that we were going to see an increase in the amount of excuse me, skin cancers and cataract blindness in our country. And in fact, we did see a small increase in those things. Well, what happened was that they realized what was happening, and they decided they were going to take action. Now, if you have in a can of spray paint or hairspray or something like this, it doesn't contain CFCs. It contains a different gas as a propellant, usually butane. That's why they catch on fire if you hold them in front of a lighter. Please don't try that at home. Right? But we still use CFCs, although we use different CFCs in the Freon that works in our air conditioner and our freezer, because I don't think you and I want to go back to the days where we could not put food in a refrigerator to keep it preserved. But this is one of those examples where scientists have to come up with a solution because that end product was dangerous. Now, in this case, they were able to figure out a reasonable solution. They were able to come in and say, we're going to reduce the number of CFCs that we use so that we can continue to use them for the places we need to use them, refrigeration, freezing things. But we're going to stop using them in the place that we can actually find a different solution, like spray cans. Well, but there are other examples of air pollution that are a little harder to solve. You're going to watch a short video here in just a minute from our good friends at TED on smog. And smog is this urban, usually it's associated with cities. We don't have a lot of it out here where we're at because we don't have a lot of cars. And we don't have a lot of coal plants and all these other chemicals that that increase smog. But what we do have is gases that waft in from other places. Smog is a terrible, awful thing. It is very dangerous and can actually cause increase in lung cancer. I've actually read somewhere that if you lived in Shanghai, China, for example, just breathing the air in Shanghai, China was about the same as smoking 3 packs of cigarettes a day in terms of the damage that it was doing to your lungs. So there's a short little video, and then I want you to do some research as part of that video. There's some space at the end there on the paper that I want you to fill out, where I want you to do some research on what can be done about smog and how we can, as a society, and this is going to have to be a society problem or a government problem, how as a society we can try to change what's happening so that smog becomes something you read about in history books and not something that you have to worry about the government issuing a smog alert so that you're not allowed to leave your house if you have asthma. Until then, that's all I've got to say for right now, so make sure you do those assignments. Make sure you do all the assignments this week. Make sure you post them or send them to me through Remind or through email. But until then, stay safe, stay well.